So people want God. People want God all around the world. They want God, whether they admit it or not. They want God, but they don't want to make room for God. They want God, but you must make room for God, because God will make room for you, but you've got to make room for God. And if we do not, we cannot have that which we desire, which we want, which will satisfy and fulfill. God fills us with substance, but we have to acknowledge that first we are filled with the world. We've been filled with a substance that is dark, that are lies. And so that's why we see things not working out, because when we have a problem, something happens, like there's a divot in the road, you fill the divot, right? You're supposed to fill the divot, or potholes, right? You fill it with sand, you fill it with some substance, concrete, something that will fill it up. And in our lives, it's like we have these divots, these potholes that form these problems. People have pockmarks in their skins, these ditches, right? And we try to, so if those are our problems, we try to solve it, right? Put something in it. And what are we going to put in it to fill it back up? Lies, because that's what's in us. It's like sloshing around inside us. We're full of lies. So we answer the problem with lies. That's why we run to God, to Jesus, who is the truth, so that we can be filled with the truth, so that we can have new eyes and see according to the truth. Then when we have a problem, we'll be able to fill it up with truth, because that will be what's in us. That's what will come out of us when we answer the problems of life, when we answer the day. Jesus beats our day. He goes before us. He knows already the battles that we're going to face, the things that's prepared for us daily. And so it's more like an obstacle course for your strength and training if you serve God. It's all for your development. It's all for your good. Everything works out to the good of those who love God. You need room to love, space and time to love. We understand that in the natural, right? Husband and wife in a loving relationship. You make room for the person. You make time for the person. You set apart time for the person. And yet we don't want to honor God with the same. We want to be hypocrites, right? Serve man, fear man, love man, worship man more than God. Not acknowledging our ways. They're unequal. Look, we do this to governors. We fear governors. We fear them. But we don't give the honor to God. We treat people like this because we can see them. But we don't invest in God. And so you're going to see here in 2 Kings chapter 4 just how God provides for his people, how people who give themselves to God, they get a return. And that investment is returned mightily. Mightily. God is mighty. He multiplies more than we can know. He keeps you for your whole life. He provides, he provides, he provides. He gives you supernatural problems with supernatural victories, supernatural solutions. And so that's the life of champions. That's what you want to see. For in sports, the top of the top, the best of the best, and they get the crowd, they get the applause, they get the glory, they get the championship. You go to like a kiddie game, little children playing baseball. You don't really give them a reward, right? They're, good job, you hit it. Good job, you got a base. Good job, you scored a point. Well done. You get a pat on the back. No, but if you can train to the highest level, and you play at the highest level, I don't want to. They pitch the baseball at like, I don't know what speeds, 98 miles per hour, faster than that. And you have to hit it. I can't even see the ball. In tennis, they serve really fast. I can't even, it hurts to get hit by that ball. Right? In all these sports at the highest levels, it can be intimidating. My enemy, my opponent, is fierce. I don't want to play this. I like it when it's more casual. Just pick up game, a frisbee on the side. Let's do that. No, God says, no, let's do this. How about Goliath? And people don't want that. There were giants occupying the promised land. But God said, hey, I promised you. And he wanted them to get the promised land gloriously, with the walls of Jericho falling down on every side and them rushing in and killing everyone in there with a mighty victory. Silence, blow the trumpets, don't talk. Let God lead, let God do his marvelous work, just like how he led you out of Egypt, through the Red Sea, maintained you through the wilderness, and now brings this great victory for this great land, for this great testimony, for this great God, to glorify his name. So we have to understand what we're participating in. We have to be motivated to participate, knowing that, oh, we're going to see great things, great problems. Okay, we have a great God. So faith would motivate us to that kind of response. Great problem, great response, great effort, because we have a great God. The unbelievers, they too may put in great effort, but if they're not doing it in reference to the great God, it's just going to be great waste. So that's what we see with Solomon explaining to us. The preacher is saying, look, you're putting in all this energy and time for nothing. Vanity. You live your life as a vapor. Your efforts are vain and you get vexation. This is the cycle. This is the pattern. You're trapped in it. You're turning, you're turning around and around and around. With God, you get traction. Right? It's not just a car, just let's lift it up. Right? The wheels don't touch the ground. You press on the accel. And yeah, it sounds powerful. The wheels are going really fast and it shows potential, but there's no actual doing. There's no actual going. With God, no, you get to actually move. You get to cover distance. You get to tell stories, go on the road trip, right? Not just demonstrate the power of the car. And that's what we see with people in the world. They're giving us natural examples, natural, we're able to use that as analogies. The Olympics, right? Okay, well, we'll take that. We'll take those stories. Use that as analogies of how to overcome and be a champion in the spirit while we actually do the actual work, while we actually live the actual life. Everyone else, they spend their energy just to then reap what? Personally, they don't get anything. They put in all that effort and then go to hell, and we just use their stories. Right? Oh, it's like that. Look how much effort they put into running that race and winning that. They went to hell, but there's a principle there. We can extract that and use it, and we're actually going to apply it unto heaven. Right? We're actually going to be able to apply it unto productivity, because we're with this great God who answers, who saves. Everyone else, they're doing it for a corruptible crown. They get a reward. They get some golden trophy. They put it on a shelf and it becomes dust. They themselves become dust, but their spirits go somewhere. Oops. We didn't pay attention to that. We thought bodily exercise profits a lot. But God says bodily exercise profits a little. So we didn't live according to the truth. He said it profits a little. So give a little attention to that. And that's how we live. But But the ungodly, not knowing God, they see what they see. They say, oh, physical exercise, it profits. Yeah, but how much? A lot. Are you sure? Yeah, that's what I see. So you don't know. You're ignorant. And that's why we go to school. And so that we can learn about the elephants and the giraffes and the zebras and the rhinoceros and the ostrich and the pterodactyls and the T-Rex and the whales. And you don't see them, but you believe. You get a picture of the world that's filled with all these biomes and the tundra and the desert and the savanna and the open ocean and the shores and the jungles. And wow, okay, my understanding of the world is becoming more rich and more full. But you haven't been there. Yeah, but I know it exists. Why do you believe that? But you can't believe God? There's a heaven. Oh no, that's too much. But let's read about these fairy tales. Right? Oh, God is too much. Heaven is too much. The real heaven is too much. But fake fantasy fairy tales are not too much. So we're unequal, right? We're liars. We're charged as liars and hypocrites. It's easy to point out because God, He can just shine a spotlight on that and say, look, see, you believe this and you do that. But this is real. And it's not that you're far from knowing it. He gives you all the materials, everything you need to access God if you would just go to Him. He charges you saying, no, you're not being honest. If you were, you'd find me. You'd acknowledge the truth, put an effort toward the truth. But lies are so much more entertaining, tasteful, and immediate. So that's why we ignore God. Don't go to church. Don't listen to your authorities. Don't read the Bible. Yeah, because you want to be quote unquote free to die, to do evil, to sin. Right? We do things knowing we're not doing that which is right. And then we bury it. We bury it. We hide it from our own conscience because it makes us nervous and anxious. The fact that we like to do it and we did it, but we didn't do it. What are you talking about? Right? That makes me more comfortable. It's easier to live that way. And so we do. And we repeat that pattern and we collect all these sins, all these evil things that we know we do, but bury it. We live two ways. You know you do it and you do it. But then, yeah, it's like that two-faced character. Evil. But it's okay. If I turn my face this way and look at the mirror, I'm beautiful. Right? And we present that, right? Put your best foot forward. Show them your good face. Make a good first impression in public. And so God calls us to be one way, to be cleansed. And it feels impossible because we're so entrenched. We've done it so long this way, being two ways. We think like this, we talk like this, but we have this side of us, dark and evil. And we'll act in it, we'll engage it. But then, yeah, we'll give ourselves amnesia. What? What did I do? That's not evil. When did I do that? That's not really evil. We'll talk ourselves out of it, bury it, confuse ourselves, lie to ourselves. We lie to others and ourselves. And we take that lightly. Oh, it's just a lie. It's just a little lie. Everything's a little lie, isn't it? Everything's a white lie, isn't it? Everything's just a little. Not knowing how much it piles up to. Oh, and you see the wickedness in the world. Those are all people, right, that started off as children, that grew up in a way that piled up experience after reasoning, after perspectives, after opinions, and they've come to some conclusions that made them act in this way or that way and that way. Whether they're caught and go to the jail, or whether they're not caught and continue to do what they do. It's easier if you're in jail. Right? Man, everyone knows I did evil, and I'm facing the consequence for it. Yeah, they can put an effort to consider, to stop doing it, to acknowledge that they did evil, to want to do right. Not that everyone does, but they're in a better position. Whereas those that continue to do evil, they're not caught. Yeah, they're more prone to lie to themselves. I'm not in jail. I'm not facing fines and fees, and I guess it's not that bad. I mean, everyone else is doing it out here. So God frees us from that deception and darkness. God invites us to, hey, you don't have to go to jail to acknowledge and repent. You can do it now while you're free. Yeah, you can admit your wickedness. You can lay it down. You could present it before God. And people were doing that when John the Baptist came. He was baptizing people in the water, accepting people's repentance, their commitment to lay down that side of themselves and take up this commitment to a new life toward God, as God gives them power to overcome, as they trust in God to lead them into being a new creature, to be living a new life to God. Because they faced the burdens, they've lived the life of trying to do it themselves, living two ways, trying to make ends meet, and they're exhausted, they're tired, they're done. They want God. They have room for God. They've made space. They're ready when John the Baptist is preaching. Yeah, they have desire for righteousness. It's hard though, but John the Baptist is telling them the kingdom is at hand though. It's available now. Come in. If you want it, come and get it. And they come, they get baptized. They put to death their old life and they take up the new life. Just like Peter, underwater, the hand of Jesus is going to pull him back up. You failed, you fell, but God is your Savior. God will lift you up, bring you up out of the waters. Here you go. There's nowhere to stand, but if you hold on to Jesus' hand, you can stand on water. You can walk on water. Walk with him. Yeah, we're supposed to toil, row on the boat to cover the journey. But with Jesus, you can immediately get there. You could get places instantly. So, yeah, what he does, look, he's doing it over and over. 2 Kings chapter 4. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, your servant, my husband, is dead. You know that your servant did fear the Lord, and the creditors come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said to her, what shall I do for you? Tell me, what have you in the house? And she said, your handmaid has not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. So she's saying she has nothing, but that nothing is going to become riches. She says that it's just a pot of oil. It seems like little. It seems like nothing. And she's going to say, I have nothing. Right? Because this pot of oil seems like nothing. I have nothing. Right? Instead of saying, I have a pot of oil, well, she's going to express that she feels like she has nothing. I've got nothing, just this pot of oil. But look what God can do with what you have. Then he said, go borrow the vessels abroad of all your neighbors, even empty vessels. Borrow not a few. Put in effort. Believe. Right? To the extent that you believe and put in effort, the more empty vessels you're going to have. What do empty vessels do? It doesn't make sense. Will you do it though? That's the instruction from God. Can you carry it out with full effort? The more you do, the more you'll be blessed. With empty vessels, let's see what you're going to do. And when you are come in, you shall shut the door upon you and upon your sons, and shall pour out into all those vessels, and you shall set aside that which is full. So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said to her son, bring me yet a vessel. And see how excited she is now, right? When God is moving, when God is doing what he promised he'd do. Oh man, yeah, now maybe you wish you put in more effort before. So we get to see this now so that we can understand our place, our position now. when God told me to do this, did I do it with all my effort? What was the consequence of putting in less effort? And now that the oil is multiplying, oh, we wish we got more. But the door is shut. We're going to get as much as the effort that we put in. How many vessels did we go and get? Empty vessels. And he said unto her, there is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God. And he said, go, sell the oil and pay your debt, and live you and your children of the rest. So yeah, she is fully taken care of. She's not only able to pay the debt, but she can live off of the rest because she's obeying. She followed the instruction, applied the instruction, and she's living off of that. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman. This woman is called Great. It's a great woman. And she constrained him to eat bread. She's being hospitable. We see that many men of God, this is going to be pointed out, their hospitality. Abraham, when the angels come, and Lot, when they see these people in the street, they're going to entreat them. They're going to beg them, come in, let me feed you, let me provide. Right? And the same with, who was it? When Abraham's servant went to seek a wife, and he prayed, let the one that offers me water for me and my camels. And so the woman came, and she did just that. And she was the one that was going to be the wife of Isaac. And so here we see another great woman. She's offering, come, eat bread. And then she's going to offer, come, stay in this place that we built. So she senses, oh, this is a man of God. We should do more. We should invest. That's a lot of money and time and bread. You're going to give them your material? She's doing it. And look at what it results in her life. What happens to her life? I'm going to skip to verse 12. And he said to Gehazi, his servant, call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, say now unto her, behold, you have been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for you? Would you be spoken for to the king or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among mine own people. She's being offered an audience with the king. She's being offered access to royalty, to power, because she cares for him. She's giving her care unto the kingdom, unto the people of God. So that's where our hearts need to be. That's where our hands need to be. That's where our efforts need to be. She's investing in that. She's giving to that. And look what she's getting back. Now, you can ask the king, what do you want? The king has access to everything, all the resources, because you chose to care about this man. You chose to care about the kingdom and not other things, not herself. She's giving, she's investing, and look how it's multiplying and opening up already. And he said, what then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. And he said, call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, about this season, according to the time of life, you shall embrace a son. And she said, nay, my Lord, you man of God, do not lie unto your handmaid. And the woman conceived and bare a son at that season that Elisha had said unto her, according to the time of life. It's too good to be true, right? She didn't want to hope. She was afraid to hope in that. But God is going to heal her of that. God's going to give her the desire of her heart. And what she wanted deep down, what she denied. No, it hurts to hope that. And God is going to heal that and say, no, you can hope. God is here. God is real. God answers. Yeah, you can live a different life. You can open your heart again. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out to his father to the reapers, and he said unto his father, my head, my head. And he said to a lad, carry him to his mother. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then died. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. And she called unto her husband, and said, send me, I pray you, one of the young men and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God, and come again. And he said, wherefore will you go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, it shall be well. Then she saddled an ass, and said to her servant, drive, and go forward. Slack not your riding from me, except I bid you. So she went and came unto the man of God to Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to Gehazi his servant, behold, yonder is that Shunammite. Run now, I pray you, to meet her, and say to her, is it well with you? Is it well with your husband? Is it well with the child? And she answered, it is well. And when she came to the man of God to the hill, she caught him by the feet. But Gehazi came near to thrust her away. And the man of God said, let her alone, for her soul is vexed within her, and the Lord hath hid it from me, and hath not told me. Then she said, did I desire a son of my Lord? Did I not say, do not deceive me? So she's about to revert, go back, close her heart. Right? I told you not to lie. I didn't want to hope. I didn't want this good thing. Good things, yeah, you can't win for losing. Then he said to Gehazi, gird up your loins and take my staff in your hand. Right? It's okay. No, God's going to respond. He's going to, he knows you and your level. He's not going to charge you with complaining. No, he's compassionate to you. He knows what you did for this man of God. Right? He's going. He's sending Gehazi, and he's going to report he's still dead. And the child is not awake. Verse 32. And when Elisha was come into the house, behold, the child was dead, and laid upon his bed. He went in therefore, and shut the door upon them twain, and prayed unto the Lord. And he went up, and lay upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. So, what is going on? Yeah, there's much I'd like to understand about that. I'd like to know. God, reveal what this means, what's going on. When I read it, what I got, what it looks like to me is the image, right? It does make me think of the image of God, which is life. There's a dead child, and he's putting his eyes to his eyes, mouth to his mouth, like a stamp, right? Like an impression. You take a stamp and you put it to the paper. Where the eyes were, that's where the eyes are going to be. Where the mouth was, that's where the mouth is going to be. And yeah, there's an impression. There's a passing, a transference of life. Transferring from the man of God that's full of life, because God has put it in him, this substance of life in him, and he's stamping that on the child. Here, you're dead, but God can bring to life if you touch God, because he is a stream. You touch water, you're going to live. And he called Gehazi and said, call the Shunammite. So he called her, and when she was come in unto him, he said, take up your son. And she went in and fell at his feet and bowed herself to the ground, and took up her son and went out. So she got her son back. Now she doesn't just have a son that was given to her by a man of God. Now she has a resurrected son. She has that. And look, it's not over. It's not over yet. Because we're going to see briefly as we pass over this part, chapter 5 and chapter 6, Gehazi is a contrast. He invests not into God, but himself. As Naaman comes and he's healed by Elisha's ministry, Naaman comes and he dips in the water 7 times as instructed by Elisha. He's healed of the leprosy, and Elisha sends him away. Naaman, he wants to give riches and a reward to the prophet. But Elisha discerns, no, it's not the time. It's not appropriate. Not for you, not now. So we understand time and judgment with God. And so Elisha's exercising that and says, no, go. Keep your riches. Go back. Receive what God gave you. And then Gehazi wants to mess it up. Because, yeah, a little sin destroys much good. He's going to meddle with all wisdom. He's going to run to Naaman and get that reward. Even though Elisha said, that's not what we're doing right now. That's not his judgment. But Gehazi's heart is not as his heart is. So Gehazi's investing into himself. Well, there's an opportunity. Let's not waste it. I mean, that's available. He's willing to give. Let's take it. I'm not really stealing. He's willing to give. And so we don't understand. Yeah, that sounds right. You could reason that. Technically, it seems like it makes sense. But how's it going to play out? He's got leprosy now. The leprosy that Naaman had, Elisha says, Gehazi, you didn't see me go with you, but I went with you. You don't see God seeing you, but he sees you. He sees your heart. You don't see what you're doing in your own heart, but God sees it. You don't reference God. You don't pray to God. You're not submitted to God. So you don't see. He would show you, and you could repent, and you could change, and you could not act like that and not do that. But here it is. Here it goes. It manifests because you don't address it, because you don't run to God. You don't burrow yourself into God. You don't dwell in God. Then you're going to be darkness. Lies in your mind. Lies is pumping in your blood. Lies is you're not cleansing yourself. You're not being sanctified. You're not being washed in the presence of God daily. Lies, it just sprouted. It just came out of your hands, came out of your lips, came out of your feet. You ran to him. You said that. You got that. And now, if you think you got riches, but you got leprosy. And so he's demoted. And he's still got a position. He's talking with the king. And maybe he got kicked out, spiritual into the natural. And so when he talks to the king asks him, tell me, you were Elisha's servant, right? Yeah, I was. Well, tell me all that he did. What did he do? And he's telling him all that he did. And this is chapter 8. Then spake Elisha unto the woman, whose son he had restored to life, saying, Arise, and go you and your household, and sojourn wheresoever you can sojourn, for the Lord has called for a famine. So he's telling her the future. He's hiding her from danger. Not only do you have a son and a resurrected son, now you get to know the future because you've invested into the man of God, not into yourself. Right? We think I got to invest in myself so that I can get things. No, you invest in God. And look, you get safety. You can't tell the future, right? You want to protect yourself from the future by amassing wealth. But that's not how you do it. Wealth is not wealth. What's seen is not how it seems. It's in God. Right? Well, no, if we give our resources, if we give to the man of God, that's losing. We're going to lose. And what are we going to get back? We give to God, give time to God. What are we getting back? It's not working. I don't see it. No, but look at this great woman. She invests into the kingdom. And look at what she gets back. The future. She gets to know the future. Not only does she hide from the danger coming from the famine, she gets to get all her stuff back when the famine's over and she comes back to her land. And she goes to the king and tells him, I used to live here. I went because the famine was here, but now I'm back and I want my stuff back. I want my land back. And when she goes to the king, that's exactly the timing when Gehazi was just talking with the king. And Gehazi just explained to the king, there was a woman whose son Elisha brought back to life. Oh, that's her, that's her. Oh, what do you know? I was just talking about you. Chapter 8, verse 3 of 2 Kings. And it came to pass at the 7 years' end that the woman returned out of the land of the Philistines, and she went forth to cry unto the king for her house and for her land. And the king talked with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, Tell me, I pray thee, all the great things that Elisha hath done. And it came to pass, as he was telling the king how he had restored a dead body to life, that behold, the woman whose son he had restored to life cried to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, My lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son, whom Elisha restored to life. And when the king asked the woman, she told him. So the king appointed unto her a certain officer, saying, Restore all that was hers, and all the fruits of the field since the day that she left the land, even until now, and not one good thing was lost. That's the life, that's the testimony of the people of God. Famine, no, you've got God, right? Loss, no, you've got God. Here, restoration. Here, refreshing. Here, replenishment. What did you lose? Here it is back, and now the king knows you. The king knows your name. The king is supporting you. The king wants to guarantee your success. With man and with God, you have favor. You're going to prevail if you invest in God. Make room for him. Don't make room for anything else. Don't invest in anything else. Invest in God. Invest in God. Seek first God and the kingdom of God, his righteousness. And watch how your life plays out differently than the whole world. The wrath, the curse is on the rest of the world. You do not want that. You do not want to try that. You will have no success. You cannot overcome that. You cannot break through those glass ceilings. You cannot have a different life, a different outcome, except you serve God with all your heart, with all your life.